Hi, and welcome to Long Box Diving, where we pull comics out of the long box. So, my video for today is I want to make a quick encounter for 3 players of about 7th level for the upcoming game, and I just kind of wanted to show off a little bit of my process. Um, Now, in a given night, right, you're going to have about 5 encounters, right? 5. Um, Now, one of them may be a puzzle, another one may be a trap, stuff like that. Sometimes all the encounters are just talking. You may have a night where it's just you talking to NPCs, and there's 5 important conversations. But that tends to be how long it runs, right? Is you have 5 things that happen. Um, and I kind of wanted to plan it out. So one of the ideas I'm having for our Westmarches campaign inside the Last God universe, um, one of the ideas I had was an encounter where it is a hunting grounds, a hunting grounds beside the main highway that really isn't used because nobody uses the road in this area, but it's a hunting grounds that people have been disappearing in. Great. So let's go ahead and pull up the page. I want to know what my main monster is, because that's going to be an encounter. I know there will likely be an encounter. How they deal with it is up to the players, right? But I want to know what kind of monster I have here. Because when I know what is my big bad for the night, right? If they decide to pursue this path, what is my big bad? If I know that, then I know what else to add. Because some big bads will use traps, right? Some big bads will have minions. Some big bads are willing to talk to the characters. Some of them are just mindless monsters that are fighting. Great. Now, in this specific instance, I don't think I have anything really suited from the Last God book itself of monsters. And there's some cool monsters in there, and I think we will probably see some of them in the book fairly early on. Because the monsters in the world are like iconic, and I want to show them off. So the undead in the Last God are going to be heavily present. Um, but I don't know how much of that, because some of them are also very much reskinned versions. We will probably see an Ursodon fairly soon. Depends on if the players chase that path. Excuse me. So it's I want to include monsters from the Last God universe, but there's not a lot outside of the undead, and I don't think the undead really fit for this scenario that I'm crafting. Right. Um, so let's go ahead and move over to D&D Beyond. I'm not sponsored. um, and let's see this. Okay, right off the bat. So I've already said 3 characters of average level 7, right? And you can see, oh, what is the difficulty? I want to see stuff that will be harder for them to fight. In fact, let's go ahead and filter. Let's not fight a Trask. No, thank you. So let's go ahead say no homebrew because personally it's a little bit hard to run right now. Let's leave that open. We're gonna make this a forest. So forest, it's definitely a forested area. Let's also say no, it's not a hill area. So this monster, whatever monster it is going to be, it will be something in the forest. Source, I need to leave it to the basic rules, player's handbook, dungeon master's guide, monster's manual. Anything past that is more suited to specific events and not what I want really. Let's also include Explorers Gets Wild Map because I like it. That's why. So right off the bat, lots of dragons, which they're a little too tough. So 10 is again difficult. Let's go ahead. There we go. So we can already see some monsters here. We can get a young gold dragon. It would be killer. It would be deadly on its own. We can get a guardian naga. What would that be? Now, CR10 is very much a difficult monster to fight for 3 people of the 7th level. So this may be something I have to wait for. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait on that. It's very good at spell casting, but then it doesn't have a lot else. It's not super powerful. Actually, that the spit poison would be powerful. So yeah, let's go ahead and avoid that for right now. Um, a young green dragon would be interesting, but I think it's a little early right off the bat to do that. What about an oni? Okay, a giant who is hunting through. That'd be interesting. Um, you have a giant that is wandering the hunting grounds, an oni. Um, that could be very interesting. What? Let's read more about what they are. So they can cast spells. Oh, okay, cool. Um, they have some decent health points. That's fine. Their attacks are magical. That's great. It has regeneration. That makes it a whole lot tougher to beat because that means you must be doing a minimum of 10 damage. Um, it can multi attack. It can claw. It can use its glaive. Um, okay. Um, so it can polyform and polymorph into a smaller medium humanoid, into a large giant, or back into its true form. Um, okay. So it doesn't have its claw uh, in in um in humanoid form, but it does in its oni form. It also has a giant form, but again, like it's like the oni itself is fairly big. That could be interesting. I like that. The idea that you have this oni that is wandering the hunting grounds as a hunter, right? That's interesting. Oh, that's devious. So you have this oni, right, that is wandering the forest as a hunter. It then traps humans that wander into its domain and kills them or enslaves them. I don't know. We may find out what the oni does, but people are disappearing for some reason, and like nobody ever knows that it's a giant oni, which is pretty big. They only know, hey, look, there's like creatures are disappearing, um, and they don't suspect it's just some random hunter because like when you look in the area, trees are torn up. There's big hoof no feet print like a large giant has been wandering the area. So people are expecting to find a large giant, not an oni, and not a human. I like this. This is interesting. Let's read some more about it. That's kind of what it looks like up there. It's a little bit like that. Um, so it can cast some spells. Um, in nursery rhymes, Oni are fearsome boogeymen who haunt the nightmares of children and adults alike. Yet they are very real and always hungry. They find human babies especially delicious. Oni look like demonic ogres with blue or green skin, dark hair, and a pair of sharp ivory horns. I can't talk. I'm sorry. I feel like I have a mouth of cotton, protruding from their foreheads. I should probably drink some more water. Their eyes are dark with strikingly white pupils, and their teeth and claws are jet black. Yeah, so basically they pretend to be humans until like humans disappear until nighttime where they can and they can kill a traveler. Interesting. Don't go in the the comment section. Who knows how deadly it is? Okay, so I very much like this creature here, um, as a big bad. Let's go ahead and throw it in um, our encounter over here. We're gonna add it in. Now that's a medium difficulty problem, right? Nothing crazy. Like our players can probably deal with that fairly easily. Huh. What if we made it tougher? Now, given that the Oni's proclivity for um, pretending to be a human, right, and trapping humans and deceiving them, there will definitely be traps throughout the forest around the Oni's lair intended to capture humans or Elven or Dwero, right? So that's going to be probably one or two things of our five encounter. The Oni's the third one. Um, uh, I think I want something more. So it gets weaker after here. Okay. What if? No, I don't know if I want to use them right now. Okay. What kind of monster would work with an Oni? Willingly or not? What if we did a troll? Oh, that. Like if we did two trolls, right? Oh, that could be interesting. Just as some fodder, right? Because trolls aren't super powerful, but they do have a ton of health and they regenerate just like the Oni regenerates. What if I threw in two trolls, and that can be another encounter, or it can be part of the main one? So that would be interesting. Um, and I think for sure a troll would absolutely ally with somebody um, that can just bring them constant amounts of food. Yeah, absolutely. Like these trolls would for sure work with anybody that can bring them food, and an Oni can bring them food. Um, I think that's cool. Tell you what, um, let's go back here. Let's just take a look here. If I add two of these, so it just adding one makes it deadly, right? Adding two is super deadly. Let's go ahead and cut that. If I had three, super deadly. Uh, so let's go back down to two. So I think what I will do, um, I think what I will do is have the two trolls be like an encounter, and like step three, right? So one and two um, are like a traps. Let's say some sort of traps, or maybe they hear a noise and it's something, and part of this encounter of the night, part of the five-step encounter. Number three is going to be the two trolls, probably, and that'll be a decent fight. It won't be super difficult, I don't believe, just two trolls, but who knows? The fourth one is probably going to be a negotiation and trying to find the Oni, because the players won't find that the trolls have ever traveled outside of the camp, right? They don't see troll tracks. They don't see any evidence of that. Um, and in fact, if they look throughout the camp, they find evidence to the contrary that somebody's bringing humans to the trolls. And so that'll probably be the fourth encounter of them trying to figure out the puzzle. And if they realize it, then great, they can look for a human and they will probably find a human. If they don't, then it's a surprise attack by the Oni, and that would be interesting. I'm excited for this. This is just a straightforward night, right? Nothing too crazy, nothing too like politically grand schemes. It's just a monster living out in the forest who's trying to collect magic items, and has troll bodyguards and goes and collects people because one, the Oni's hungry, and two, the trolls are hungry, and so that's the Oni's job. When it sleeps, the trolls guard, and it's a. I think this works. It's a symbiotic relationship at that point. And if the Oni ever had to, right? Well, it can just pretend I'm just a human. These trolls trap me here. It's a very much a symbiotic parasitic relationship, and I love it. So this is an encounter. This is a full night's worth of encounters that I've been able to throw together in 20 minutes less, really. And I know enough about the thing. I know enough about what I'm planning to, if I had to wing something, I can, right? And that's no problem. If I have to come up with a name on the spot, I can. That's no problem. I know enough about what I want to do in this scenario to be able to plug it in pretty much anywhere, and be able to use it in case they ever decide to chase this rumor, which is kind of what you want when you're doing a Westmarches. So that's really just kind of like an example of my process when just you want to throw together a scenario of, look, this is something they may run into. This is a problem, a quest, and it's just straightforward and easy. You take some time, you find something that sounds cool, and then figure out what would work with that creature, right? Because truth be told, bunch of turn economy stuff and game theory, but a single monster by itself either has to be really, really, really powerful, or it underperforms compared to the heroes. Almost always. That's why a lot of people find their single boss monsters tend to die very quickly against the enemies, is because it's the action economy. Your players tend to do a lot of things compared to your boss's one or two things. And so when you think about it that way, they either need to be super powerful and stupid crazy, or they need to have allies. And that's what I look for when I create when I create scenarios, is what are their allies, because monsters have friends too. That is the moral of the night. I'll see you next time in the long box. Bye bye.